I am going to cop some heat for this one. Ethereum is a bad blockchain and it will ultimately be worthless. Let me explain. Ethereum's technology, dev team, roadmap, and governance are all so bad that even the founder realizes that the current blockchain needs to be replaced with a whole new blockchain. The new blockchain replacing Ethereum 1.0 is called Ethereum 2.0, and it's also a pretty bad blockchain. As a result, the Ethereum network will probably die, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about all the problems with Ethereum 1.0, how all these problems are going to carry over to Ethereum 2.0, and why this will ultimately kill Ethereum. So Ethereum 1.0 has many problems, starting with the fact that it's actually quite slow. Currently, Ethereum only processes about 10 to 15 transactions per second, which is nowhere near fast enough to be a future-proof layer 1 blockchain. This level of performance is already a far cry from its competitors, which are processing either hundreds or thousands of transactions per second. Its second problem is that it's centralized. Right now, there are only about 50 individual distinct validators validating transactions on the Ethereum blockchain. Again, this is a far cry from other blockchains, which already have hundreds or thousands of validators on their network. Even Solana, which is known for its centralization, has greater decentralization than the Ethereum blockchain with about 2,000 individual validators. The third problem is that it's not a very secure blockchain. There have been countless hacks on the Ethereum blockchain over the years, which have really all aimed at the cross-chain bridges that any project building on top of the Ethereum blockchain has to design and make themselves, unlike other blockchains which integrated layer 2 capabilities from the start, making their bridges far more secure than Ethereum's. Ethereum never planned for layer 2 solutions, as they thought that all processing relating to Ethereum would take place on the Ethereum blockchain. Thus, it never developed a secure interface for any kind of cross-chain capability. Its fourth issue is that it's expensive and not very user-friendly. With transaction fees, they're not only high, but also very unpredictable. It's hard to imagine anybody using Ethereum for its intended purpose of powering applications and transactions. Its fifth problem is its design approach is truly terrible. The lead developer and co-founder Vitalik Buterin literally said that he thinks deep rigor is overrated and a more heuristic approach is the way to go. This means essentially adopting the Silicon Valley approach of move fast and break things. This would be a potentially acceptable approach if it wasn't for the fact that Ethereum was meant to handle the financial system of the world, from individuals all the way up to big businesses. But nobody in the world will tolerate a system that routinely loses their money when there is a cheaper and more secure option out there, which in this case is pretty much most other blockchains, especially the top 10 competitors. Pretty much all these competitive blockchains take a far more rigorous approach, especially the direct competitors like Polkadot, Avalanche, and Cardano. And problem number 6, it's got a thriving ecosystem which it's going to lose. To its credit, Ethereum has a thriving ecosystem with plenty of types of applications on it. Everything from metaverse plays like the sandbox Decentraland, all the way through to DeFi applications like Aave. However, it is starting to lose a lot of these applications to competing blockchains or layer 2 solutions, essentially taking the demand off Ethereum. The only reason Ethereum really had these applications in the first place is because of the first mover advantage, given that the blockchain launched in 2015, whereas its competitors have launched really over the last 4 or 5 years. Essentially, Ethereum is technologically inferior to its main competitors, and it failed to reach its own goal of becoming the backbone of decentralized finance. Its poorly planned development has led to the loss of literally billions of dollars for its users. It isn't really decentralized at all, and unfortunately all development of the Ethereum 1.0 blockchain has halted, as Ethereum 2.0 was meant to be launched in 2019, and it's been 6 months away ever since. So now that we've looked at Ethereum 1.0's problems, let's take a look at Ethereum 2.0 and why it will suffer the same problems. So Ethereum 2.0 is a whole new blockchain that's been designed over the last 5 years. As a result of being a new blockchain, it's actually got some pretty vast differences to Ethereum 1.0. So instead of being like Ethereum 1.0, where the entire blockchain is in a single sequence, it's actually going to be sharded across 64 individual shards. This means instead of being one big blockchain, there's going to be 64 individual blockchains all connected by a relay chain called the beacon chain. This beacon chain will allow for transactions between shards. So let's illustrate this with an example. Say my wallet is located on shard 1 and my parents' wallet is located on shard 5. In order to send cryptocurrency from my wallet to my parents' wallet, I'll have to send the transaction through shard 1 to the beacon chain, which will then send it through to shard 5. But if I want to transfer funds to my auntie's wallet who is located on shard 1, then we would not need to involve the beacon chain whatsoever. Now, if you're familiar with different kinds of blockchains, you could be forgiven for thinking that I am talking about the Polkadot blockchain. This is because it's literally the exact same structure, as in it has parachains, which are equivalent to Ethereum shards, and then it has its relay chain, which is the equivalent of the beacon chain on Ethereum. Although Polkadot has 99 parachains as opposed to Ethereum's 64 shards. This might have something to do with the fact that Dr. Gavin Wood, the creator of Polkadot, was originally the lead technical developer for Ethereum, but relatively early on he actually left the Ethereum project. The key differences between Ethereum and Polkadot is actually summarized really well by the Engine project when they were articulating why they chose to expand onto Polkadot as opposed to Ethereum 2.0. Essentially what they said was that each of the 99 parachains on Polkadot are actually really quite customizable, whereas the shards on Ethereum are literally just splitting the workload and have no customizability whatsoever. This means that on Polkadot, most of the transactions happening within a project will actually stay within the same parachain and not have a need to go across to other parachains or shards. Whereas on Ethereum, most projects will have to communicate through the beacon chain to other shards. This will place greater strain on the beacon chain as it will be the single bottleneck between shards, essentially meaning that Ethereum 2.0 is only going to perform as well as the beacon chain does. Okay, so enough about the structure. Let's talk about Ethereum 2.0's consensus algorithm. Ethereum 2.0 is moving from a proof of work consensus algorithm to a proof of stake consensus algorithm, meaning that there will no longer be a need for miners and that people validating instead will be staking their Ethereum, which will in theory reduce the amount of computing power needed to be a validator on Ethereum. Instead, you'll need to stake at least 32 ETH to be a validator on the Ethereum network. Now, 32 ETH is not a small amount of money. At Ethereum's peak price, you could be looking at well over $100,000 to become a validator on the Ethereum network. So one way to get around this need to stake 32 Ethereum is to pool your money together with other people to form a staking pool. In true Ethereum fashion though, this is not natively supported, which means staking pools will be separate smart contracts or private arrangements off-chain. This will essentially mean creating a bridge, which as we previously mentioned, is not very secure at all. This all kind of defeats the point of decentralizing through the implementation of proof of stake anyways. The switch to proof of stake might drop the transaction fees on Ethereum somewhat, but it's not going to drop them to almost zero like a lot of people are saying. The gas prices on Ethereum are a product of supply and demand. So the supply of transaction processing power is not going to be so high that it cuts demand by 99%. Instead, it would be more reasonable to expect something like a 25 to 50% reduction in gas prices. Although realistically, it's hard to say how much gas prices will drop as it depends on so many factors, like if there's another NFT boom, if we're still in the crypto winter when ETH 2.0 gets released, so many things. And as we mentioned before, the single bottleneck on the Ethereum network is going to be that beacon chain. So realistically, you can have all the validators you want in the world. If the beacon chain is slowing down, those validators aren't going to help. That is to say that processing power will only be as high as the beacon chain allows it to be. Now that we've talked a little bit about Ethereum 2.0, let's talk about the team developing it. Every co-founder of Ethereum has left the project to either create a competing blockchain or work somewhere else in the crypto space. As previously mentioned, Vitalik believes in the move fast and break things approach, as opposed to any kind of foresight to try and predict potential problems. On top of this, Vitalik's admitted that he doesn't have that much influence on the Ethereum blockchain anymore, and what influence he does have is quickly decreasing. As a result of this, Ethereum 2.0 isn't being developed by a team per se. It's actually a whole bunch of different projects being developed by different people in the Ethereum community. All of these projects are being combined and implemented together underneath the Ethereum 2.0 banner. This approach is equivalent to trying to take a whole bunch of different engine parts, putting them together and hoping that not only does that engine work, but they'll outperform a high performance engine from a single manufacturer. On top of this, as we mentioned before, the launch date for Ethereum 2.0 keeps getting pushed back and it's always 6 months away. So basically we've got a whole bunch of different developers building different parts of the project all in line with their own visions, and then try and put it all together to create a cohesive blockchain, and they can't seem to meet deadlines either. With this team approach, Ethereum 2.0 may actually never get delivered, and if it is, it will likely be a subpar blockchain with many flaws and inefficiencies that will discourage widespread adoption, especially when there's other offerings on the market that are more secure, cheaper, and faster than Ethereum 2.0. So the outlook for Ethereum isn't great. Ethereum 1.0 is so poorly planned out that the plan is to essentially just replace it with a whole new blockchain in Ethereum 2.0. Even then, Ethereum 2.0 doesn't look like it's going to be the blockchain that everyone wants it to be. It's still going to be slow, insecure, and potentially just as expensive. Ethereum has enjoyed years of basically zero competition. And now that that competition has come with better offerings, Ethereum is showing signs of becoming a dying ecosystem. All of this being said, I still believe that Ethereum will be a top 20 cryptocurrency until the next bull run, which will be about 3 to 5 years. But given that it's going to be outperformed by every other blockchain, it's inevitable that it will die. Not to mention that there are plenty of other cryptocurrencies with way more room for growth, even if Ethereum stays at the number 2 slot or even flips Bitcoin. This is because the market cap of Ethereum is so much higher than pretty much every other crypto project out there. Even the other crypto projects just go up by half of what Ethereum's worth. That's still a multi-X on their initial value. If you want to see some of the cryptocurrencies I think fall into this category, click on some of the videos you're seeing right now, especially Ergo and Basic Attention Token. I think these projects have huge room for growth. Now, I'm talking at least the 50x range personally. But as always, use this video as a research aid, not financial advice. I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there who've made the opposite case of what I've made today, that will say Ethereum's going to go to the moon in the next bull run. Watch these videos and see if you can find holes in my argument compared to their argument. Other than that, thanks for sticking around and watching all the way through, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodles!